Thank you for tuning into another episode of She Laughs, a podcast dedicated to bringing you honest and transparent viewpoints in this daily faith journey. Now join with me as we listen to T and Kristal discuss the latest.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Kristal.
What's up, everybody? It's Tanisha.
Welcome to another day, another episode of She Laughs. Welcome back.
You always say welcome and don't even realize you're saying it.
Girl, I'm country.
Who is welcome?
Welcome back.
Ain't no L in there nowhere. It's just welcome.
Nah. I don't pronounce them very well. So, hey, whoever is listening from the South.
That's not an excuse to not have an L.
Fine, y'all. T's getting on me. Let me say it correctly. Welcome back. Well,
I'm Southern.
Welcome.
Southern people say welcome. There's an L in there somewhere when they say it.
Oh, Father God. But we family, so bump all day. Welcome back, y'all. To another week, another episode, another edition. As always, we hope you're doing well. T, how have you been feeling?
Been feeling fairly good. Mental wise, spirit wise, been good. Body's been a little tired, but been fairly good. You can always complain. There's always a way to figure out why you're not doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I've decided to really stop paying attention to those moments when I want to complain. So no, I'm doing good.
Good. Likewise, I'm doing good. I haven't had anything to complain about. We'll say, y'all, I am on the sick and shut in. No, it's not COVID. Twisted my ankle or sprained it.
Shut in, child.
Something.
That's not enough to be sick and shut in for real.
Everything, I'm crippled. No, I'm not, because I'm not going to claim that in Jesus' name.
Thank you.
Your girl is laid up. So that's what's been going on with me this week. I've been moving at a slower pace than what I'm used to. Which probably was a nice little reminder of slowing down, but at the same time, I was like, Lord, there's too much you got me to do.
Right.
So, I'm slowing down at the same time, trying to speed up. So I guess the word of the week is balance. And what does that look like? And finding it in this season. So that's how I've been doing and everything with my sprained ankle self. And if y'all remember the story, I just recently fell down some steps. I'm accident prone, y'all. It just is what it is.
It happens. Some people are clumsy, some aren't. It's the way of life.
Everything, I don't even mean to be clumsy, but it just happens. So, but anywho, T, you got a quotable this week?
I do have a quotable. And it says, "Your healing journey is not a story that is safe to share with everyone."
Charlotte, that ain't true.
Very, very true. And I know, well, it's always great to be transparent. You know, this is something that we pride ourselves at here on this podcast, is being open and transparent. But there are some things that really you shouldn't share with everyone.
Yeah.
Because they're not safe spaces, number one. And then number two, some people really aren't ready to hear your full story.
Yes.
They're just not really ready to hear it and ready to really grasp it in its totality. Because of various reasons, not necessarily that they will think you're lying or anything like that. They just may not be in a space themselves where they're really acknowledging that vulnerability.
Yes.
If you get what I'm saying. They could be struggling in certain areas in their life, and what you've dealt with and healed from is kind of a mirror to that.
Yeah.
And they're not really ready to see that. So you cannot share your story with everyone. You just have to be very discerning in who to share it with and how to share it.
And when to share it.
Yes, and when to share it, definitely.
And because it may be that it's not that you won't ever share it with them. It's just not now.
Right.
So yeah, that's good. That's something I've had to learn and stuff. That you can still be open and transparent, but discernment tells you who to be open and transparent with, because these are the people that you need to hear your story. And
Right.
sometimes it may be somebody that you didn't even think of, or a complete stranger, and you're like, Lord, why am I up here being so open and transparent? And it's like, no, I'm letting them hear your testimony right now.
Right. Right. And we have this feeling that, well, if I'm not that way with everyone, then I'm being fake or phony, or I'm not being truthful. And that's not the case.
Yeah. So y'all use discernment. Discernment really right now is heavy. I mean, you can't be lazy. And I know, I want to say, was it last year or the year before, we prepared you all that you have to pay attention. So much so because God even had me in a season where he was like, you no longer cannot pay attention to your discernment.
Right.
And here we are. I had no clue that, I think, and I really don't even remember what episode it was and everything, but that a year or a year and a half later, that I would be like, Lord, you were right. Like, I literally cannot go a second without paying attention to my discernment, because so many things are happening in not just my life, but in everyone's life all over the world. There's so many spirits running amok that, child, if you're not paying attention, I'm praying heavy for you.
Yeah, you're going to get caught up.
You really gonna get caught up in some stuff that you don't want to. So pay attention to your discernment, because God is always speaking. Well, I have a quotable.
Go ahead, child.
It comes from Pastor Kim, and I love her. And this is so true. And she said, somebody is mad at you right now for picking peace over drama.
Ooh. Yeah.
And here's the thing, guys. There have been seasons that you've probably heard this in, and you was like, but why would someone be mad at you for picking peace? Have you ever thought about that? Like, that doesn't make sense. Why are they mad at me that I just want to live in peace? Baby, they big mad.
Yeah.
They are big mad that you just was like, I'm done. They're big mad that you're not engaging.
Yes, that's really the problem. You're not engaging in what you normally would engage in.
Yes. They're even mad that you have the audacity to not want their agreement with you.
Right.
And so it really lets you know, a lot of times when people are upset with you about that, if they're upset with you because you've stopped talking, maybe because they're not a safe place, like T was talking about earlier, it literally may have something to do with their maturity level or things that they're handling. Other times, really, they might just be mad because they got an ego problem.
Yeah.
How dare you not want to talk to me? I'm me. Okay. So for me to pick peace over drama, and peace over having agreement, or peace over needing you, not necessarily me to agree with you, but needing you to agree with me. Because people get offended by that too, of why aren't you explaining your position on it?
Yeah.
And stuff. The fact that you chose peace will literally tick people off. Here's the thing. Don't allow their upset of you to steal your peace. Because you'll be like, I chose peace. And in the midst of that, while you continue to see them being drama filled and upset with you, you will find yourself getting upset that they upset that you have peace. And what does that do? Now steal you of your peace. Don't allow that. That's another tactic.
Very much so.
And stuff. Continue to have your peace. Continue to have your joy. Continue to choose peace. So,
yeah. Yes, and yes.
His peace is a choice. A lot of people don't realize that. He gives peace, but you have to also choose it. You have to choose it.
Well,
because you can choose to be in drama. You can choose to be upset. You can choose all of the things, but you can also choose to say, no, I'm going to have peace about this situation. There you have it. That's my quote.
well.
But
she done preached the whole sermon on that quote on me.
My bad. Father God, the Holy Spirit took over because I was not expecting all of that. I was, but yeah, that's for somebody and everything. I'm praying you choose peace. Choose peace. But anywho, guys, it's another week, and we are continuing in this series of the names of God. Whom do you say I am? And just learning the names of the Father, the characteristics of the Father that we serve. And honestly, it's been interesting to see how he achieved some of these names that we call him.
Right.
Because it's not that he's named this over and over again. Sometimes he's literally named it one time because of one person's struggle, which kind of gives me an interesting insight in the relationship that we all carry with God, that we get to name him who he is to me. That's how personal the relationship is. So I've been enjoying it. So we're going to start this week. T, I know you've been studying as well as I, and she has some names that she is going to share with us what she's learned. So T, what are we calling him this week? Who is
This
I
week.
am?
Well, this week we are in the Jehovah series. I call it that because I didn't really realize how many Jehovah names God has.
Yeah.
It's a lot, y'all. But we only picked a few.
Yeah.
Believe me, the ones we picked are not all of them. There are a few more Jehovah's. But and we will probably mess these names up.
Yeah.
Because I don't speak Hebrew. And neither does Kristal.
No.
So I will spell them out for you. As usual. I think I did that last time so people can look it up. So the first one we are going to be starting with is Jehovah, and Lord, please help me. Jehovah Rohi. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce that. So we all know how to spell Jehovah. Just in case you don't, I'll spell it for you. It's Jehovah. Jehovah. And then Rohi is Rophe. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Rophe. Yeah. Yeah. In English, we'd be like, Rofi? No, that's not. It's Rohi. Or Roy. I don't know. But what it means is the Lord who heals. Now, we all know, well, most of us know listening that Jehovah really means Lord. Or it's a version of the word Lord. So most of these are going to be the Lord blank, if you know what I'm saying. So Rohi is the Lord who heals. And you can find an example of that in Exodus chapter 15, verse 26. And it reads, He said, if you listen carefully to the Lord your God and do what is right in his eyes, if you pay attention to his commands and keep all his decrees, I will not bring on you any of the diseases I brought on to the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you. So this is a conversation between Moses and God after God had cleansed the waters for the Egyptians, for the Israelites, for them to drink, after they left out of captivity in Egypt.
Mm.
So most of us know this story about them wandering in the wilderness for a unusual amount of time.
Yeah.
Way longer than they should have, which is their own fault. And then they came upon water that they needed to drink, and it was undrinkable. And they began to complain as usual, which was custom for them during this whole travel, which is why they had to travel so much longer. Which that is a word in of itself for
Yeah.
some of us. So again, he cleansed the water so they can drink it. So this was the first time God revealed himself as a healer
Mm.
in the Bible, a healer. Now, before then, we knew him as a miracle worker because he had basically with my mind is leaving me, with Sarah, she was barren.
Yeah.
And he made it so that she could have children. So we knew him as a miracle worker, but this is the first time the Bible is revealing him as a healer.
Mm.
So knowing who he is, and again, that's why we're going through this, his attributes, knowing that you can call God as your healer. There are plenty of references after Exodus of him being a healer, especially in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Even more so in the New Testament through Jesus. So it is important to understand that aspect of his character, being one who heals, and not just healing in as far as your physical body, but he is a healer of emotions. He is a healer of wounds of the heart, of people who have hurt you,
Mm-hmm.
situations that have been traumatic, whether it be in childhood or teenage years or even your adult years. So he is a God who heals all things,
Yes, Lord.
emotionally and physically. So that is Jehovah Rohi. The next one is Jehovah Shammah,
Mm.
and that's Shammah, and that is the Lord is here. And that comes from the book of Ezekiel, the 48th chapter and the 35th verse. And it says, the perimeter of the city will be 6 miles, and the name of the city will be, from that day on, the Lord is here. So that one, when I looked it up, I was like, okay, that is an interesting, small, short sentence.
Yeah.
It really doesn't describe much, but you have to, and it's literally at the end of the chapter 48. So you basically have to read the entire chapter
Yeah.
to understand that one sentence, literally. And what's going on during this time is the prophet Ezekiel is dealing with people who are basically resurrecting their own God.
Yeah.
They're in total rebellion,
Yeah.
which happened a lot in the Old Testament.
Yeah, I did.
Especially in the city of Jerusalem, they forgot who God was. So basically, at the end of all the turmoil and a lot of changes that happened, they remembered who God was in that moment and in that space.
Which is interesting, like you said, because when you think about just the context, I remember reading, I've been reading Ezekiel a lot lately, and the whole book is literally pretty much about how God is mad.
Yes.
He is ticked off. He is even telling the prophets how if you even say something out of your mouth,
Yes, because
that
his presence departed. So he was done.
he was epitome of I'm gone. And for now here towards not even just the end of the chapter, but the end of the book of Ezekiel, for him to even the smallest footnote of naming this place, the Lord is here.
Because he returned.
That, and I think we miss out on okay, we can say that God is here, but sometimes he returns when he shouldn't, and how much grace it is that he is here.
Right here in this moment.
Yes.
His presence has come back to us in this moment.
Yes.
I think it was a great reminder of them, or to the Israelites, who God has always been to them.
Yes.
That it's important for his presence to be there.
Yeah.
Like in that moment, be there.
Yes.
So he is a God who is here. He is there, right in that moment, not someone you have to look forward to in the future, not just someone you have to reminisce about in the past.
Yeah.
He is very present. So that is Jehovah Shammah. And then we have Jehovah Shalom. Most people know what the word shalom means. So you can guess Jehovah Shalom means the Lord is peace.
Yes.
And that's Judges chapter 6. And when Gideon realized that he was the angel of the Lord, he was in the presence, of the angel of the Lord, he said, "Oh no, Lord God, I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face." But the Lord said to him, "Peace to you, don't be afraid, for you will not die." So Gideon built an altar to the Lord there and called it, "The Lord is Peace."
Mm.
Most of us know the story of Gideon, him dealing with the angel at that time. And as this one is kind of very self-explanatory. A lot of people during that time felt that if they were in the presence of God, they would die.
Mm-hmm.
So him realizing, no, that's not going to happen. God reassuring him, no, that's not going to happen. Be at peace when you're in my presence is a big thing on its own right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that he is the God of peace. That is important in this moment in time in COVID 2020.
Jesus, yes.
Praying to Jehovah Shalom, because I think a lot of the times we confuse peace, joy, and happiness. We get them all mixed up.
Yes, God.
Peace is not something you can already have by itself. Peace is a fruit of the spirit.
Yeah.
Peace is really given. And you can be at peace during a tumultuous situation. Literally, all hell can be breaking loose. But if you really focus on where your heart and mind are at, they're at peace. Especially if you know that Christ resides in you and you keep your face facing him. Again, here we are. Gideon is face to face with the angel of God. And God says, "No, I'm a God of peace. So you being face to face with me is a peaceful moment."
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you keep your face towards his, you will be at peace, even when all hell is breaking loose. And that's a awesome thing to focus on, and to reassure you that it is okay and that you are okay and that you are in good hands. Because a lot of times the enemy wants you to think because a lot is going on, that means you aren't at peace. And then you
No.
won't speak to God at all,
Yeah.
because you'll feel that he's not there.
But he's always there.
He's
He's always
always
present.
present. He's very present. So that is Jehovah Shalom, and Shalom is spelled Shalom. And then my last one is Jehovah. Stick with me, people. Jehovah Sitkanu. Again, it's Jehovah Sitkanu. Now, Sitkanu is
Mm-hmm.
spelled Tidkenu. Sitkanu. And that means Lord our righteousness. And it comes from Jeremiah 23:5-6. Look, the days are coming. This is the Lord's declaration, when I will rise up a righteous branch for David. He will reign wisely as king and administer justice and righteousness in the land. In his days, Judah will be saved and Israel will dwell securely. This is the name he will be called. The Lord is our righteousness. So, again, that's another scripture that's not very clear as to what exactly they're describing as why is the Lord called righteousness. In that moment, it's another one that you're really going to have to dive into. And as I did, I realized that there are a lot of scriptures that talk about God being righteousness or being righteous. So Jehovah Sitkanu is one that you're going to really, even what I tell you won't be enough. It's so much, it could literally take up a episode on its own. So just
explaining,
yes, really explaining, really breaking it down. Who you're praying to when you're calling God Jehovah Sitkanu, the Lord our righteousness. So, let me see how I can break this down. We have no claims based on performance. The only reason why we are righteous is because of Christ. Anything outside of that is not going to work.
True.
Because
Amen.
it will be on our own. And there is no such thing as self-righteousness. That is, I know that's totally against probably what your mama and your grandmama and them have said, but no, there really, honestly, there's no such thing as self-righteousness, because self-righteousness will be making yourself righteous,
and you can't do that. You don't have the power to do it.
You do not have the power to do so. So the only person that is righteous is God, and standing with Him makes us righteous as well.
Yes. Father.
That's really it. He is the one the true righteous person. And it is in Him that we find our righteousness. So it's not something we typically use. Well, Christians will use it a lot, but we really don't know what the heck righteousness means.
Yeah.
We use it as a way to separate us from everybody else.
I think we use it as a way to say, well, I'm just right. That's part of the word.
That's part of the word, but that's not.
That's not what that means. Righteous and right ain't the same thing.
Right. Right. And usually when we use it, we're not using it as a compliment. We're using it in a cynical way.
Yes.
And that's not how it's to be used.
So, and we use it as a form of morality.
Yeah.
And so when God is calling us to be righteous, it means to be like Him and in His will.
Yes, because that being righteous talks about how good His character is.
Yes. And so when you talk about the righteousness of God, sometimes righteousness means, oh, okay, Lord, I'm just going to say it, and everything. Righteousness is sometimes extending grace when you don't want to.
Yes.
And you can be right. But righteousness says, even though I'm right, I'm not going to hold it over you. I may not even bring it up with you.
Right.
And stuff. So here I am, right, but doing what society doesn't deem I should because of God's righteousness. Which holds me now to a higher standard than even what's right.
Exactly.
That's what I mean. It's not about being right. And the fact that we as Christians get caught up on, well, I just got to be right. I just got to be right. And everything. And then we make an idol of being right. And making sure that we're being right and not even realizing that's how you turn into a religious spirit.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Your seeking this, your desire so much of being right because you think being right makes you righteous. It doesn't.
It doesn't. The only thing that is your righteousness is God. That's it. because of his good character.
Yes. Because yours ain't that great.
Look, the Bible even says there are none that are righteous.
There you have it.
So, no, sorry. You are not self-righteous. No such thing. You are not righteous. God
Not at all.
is our righteousness. God
Yes.
is our righteousness. Jehovah Sitkenet.
So
It is
wow.
his good character, not yours.
That makes the difference.
Yes.
Because don't nobody, oh Lord, don't nobody care about your righteousness.
No, not at all.
Oh, don't nobody care.
So those are my Jehovah's.
Awesome. Those are good. Those are good. So y'all, I'm gonna start, and my first one is one we know well, but I'll be honest, I didn't know where exactly it came from. And it is Jehovah Jireh. Okay, and we already know how to spell Jehovah. So Jireh is Jireh. And so Jehovah Jireh was also it was a altar built for the Lord. And we all know the story of Moses. I'm sorry, not Moses, Abraham and Isaac, where God asked him to provide Isaac as a sacrifice, for to the Lord. And Abram almost goes through with it the entire time he's saying as he's walking and everything God will provide, knowing that, he walking with God's provision. Let's just be honest. I'm
Yep.
walking with provision. Isaac, stop asking me where the lamb is, because you it. But the entire time that he's walking, he's saying God will provide. And so when he gets to the place, God literally does provide a ram in the bush. And so he builds an altar, calling it Jehovah Jireh, and it was a place in the land of Moriah. That's where he went to offer up Isaac. And so, of course, we know that God will provide, but in order to know Jehovah Jireh, sometimes God takes us through a test to understand that he is a God of provision.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is talking about the faith that we have in God to provide in the most difficult of choices. A lot of times we'll say, well, Lord, you'll provide, but in our hearts, we know, or we're thinking, oh, this will be a Abraham and Isaac situation. He's just testing me to see if I'll really give it up. He doesn't want me to give it up for real. But here's the thing about that. Abram didn't know that God didn't want him to really not
He
sacrifice
sure
his.
didn't.
He just trusted. And so we have to trust that he really is going to provide. He trusted him so much that he kept saying, look, I know you're telling me to do this, but I trust that this is not what you're going to have me do. I trust you're going to provide. If it's Isaac, it's Isaac, but I trust that you're going to provide. And God literally did do just that. So you've got to understand the faith that we have in God to provide, because he will always provide. And if you don't know where that story is, that's in Genesis 22. The next one that I have is Jehovah and Lord Help Me People. Kadesh, and it's spelled Mkaddesh. And so with this one, it talks about the Lord who sanctifies you. And this is found, of course, sanctified is found like 700 times in the Bible. But this Jehovah Kadesh is found at least 3 times in the Bible. And what I really loved is the verse in Isaiah 44:6. And that verse states, one second here, let me go to it. Isaiah 44:6, and it says, when he sets himself apart, it says, Lord, and I'm past it. For the Lord, the King of Isaiah and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts says this: I am the first and the last, and there is no God beside me. There is no other. And so when we're talking about the God who sanctifies you, first of all, he is saying there is nobody else that can do that.
Right.
It's just me by myself. So you can't do that, like we just talked about with Jehovah Sidkenu. You just the same way you can't give yourself righteousness, you can't sanctify yourself.
Nope.
And so we worship the one that is the only one who can set us apart and make us new. Because if I was left up to Kristal, I don't care how much I want to stop doing a certain tendency, or I want to stop having a mindset. I don't care how much medicine I might take for a certain behavior. The bottom line is, if I want to be made new, if I want to be sanctified, if I want it to really stop, the only one who can do that is him.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time I try to do it on my own, I'm going to backslide. Every single time. So we worship Jehovah Kadesh. This next one I loved, and I'm be honest, I have been calling on this name of God a lot in this season, but definitely in this week of really knowing who and what this came from, and it's Jehovah Nisi. And I remember as a child, well, first let me spell Nisi. It's Nissi. And if anybody remember the song, like we talked about with all these Jehovah,
Yep.
and everything, we'll say Jehovah Nisi. Yes. Lord, you reign in victory and everything. But when you really look at the word, this is the name that Moses gave the Lord, and it's literally, the Lord is my banner.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember reading that, and I was like, well, Lord, what does that mean? A banner? Like, I'm thinking a banner, like you a sheet of paper?
Paper.
Is it a banner and stuff? But that was, I'm so silly, y'all. But anyway,
But I mean, yes, that sounds. People don't know that there's more than one meaning of the word banner.
Yes, because Moses used this when he was fighting the Amalekites. And he gave that name to God after his defeat of him. And so when you think of the word banner, it's more than just a sheet of paper. When anytime someone goes into battle in olden days, we even have it in the United States and in other countries, you have people that carry the flag, the banner that goes before the army, the banner of victory. And so literally Moses is saying, this banner that went before my army and everything that helped me to win the battle. And so when we talk about the Lord is my banner, we're literally saying, Lord, I know you go before me in the presence of my enemies and everything. You go before me in the midst of this warfare, in the midst of this particular battle.
Yes.
You are my banner. And so I just really feel that not only for myself, I know that's for somebody else, because right now there's so much spiritual warfare that's being kicked up that sometimes we're like, yeah, God, you're, but no, he is your banner. Not only is he fighting the battle with you, but he goes before you. And some of the things that he actually leaves us to fight with aren't really even big things. It's like God goes before us in the bushes, and he clears out a path, and he moves out all the boulders, and he does all of the heavy lifting. And then sometimes we come behind and we're like, oh Lord, this rock, you forgot it. And he's like, no, you can handle that. That's not going to kill you. I've already moved everything out of the way that could have killed you and everything. So I just need you to handle that one. So he's literally our banner, and he's already cleared everything out of the way. And so I love that Moses said, "No, you're not just my Lord. You're the Lord that is my banner, the Lord that goes before me to defeat." So then, and the last one that I have is also, it sounds similar. This is why you gotta know these names and know how to
Yeah.
spell them, because it sounds similar to one that Tanisha did earlier, and it's Jehovah Rohi as well, but this one is spelled Rohi. And this one, y'all, if you didn't know it, this one we all know well. And this one literally means the Lord is my shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you're Christian, non-Christian, believer, non-believer, saints and ain'ts, okay? Everyone has either seen a picture of God around sheep and being a shepherd, or they have heard, well, the Lord is my shepherd and everything. And it really is about Psalms 23:1, where David is describing how loving God is and relates it to his own self, because David was a shepherd in the fields, and he's like, God, you literally tend over us the way I tend over my sheep.
Mm-hmm.
And my sheep, they really are dumb, okay? And so we really are, and everything. We're dumb. We're dumb creatures. We think we know, but we'll go and get lost. And so when the way David even mentions, the way I love on my sheep, because I know they can't take care of themselves. They're my babies. And if I was to leave, they literally would be defenseless. And so I love on them. And that's how he saw the Father loving on us, is that if I was to leave you, y'all would be slaughtered.
Yes.
Which is why it's so important that I go after the one and everything, because I got all of y'all together, but that one out there by themselves, they have no clue. They are so defenseless. They're so helpless and everything. It's literally, and sometimes, and Lord, you really are speaking today, and everything. Sometimes we literally get upset with God when he leaves us to go after the one. But imagine if it was a baby.
Mm.
How many times
That's
have we seen where kids have gotten lost in the woods and everybody in the neighborhood is like, oh my goodness, we've got to find them. That's how God looks at us. We're babies to him. I've got to go after my baby. I've got to go and find them. I've got to go after that one, because by themselves, they are so helpless. And so if you can imagine seeing a child in the woods and all of us searching, that's how he goes and searches after us. So he's literally our shepherd. He's literally saying, y'all are babies to me. You mean so much to me. You're so valuable. I'm so gentle with you. And I really want to be your shepherd and guide and teach you. And so we have to stop being upset when he literally leaves us to go after one to find him, because
right.
he's being a shepherd. He's being a father in that moment, seeking after his children. So those are my Jehovah's.
Told y'all there are a lot of them.
Yes.
But we wanted to make sure we wanted to pick out the ones that we felt were needed, especially in this season and time.
Yes. 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 So, well, T, final thoughts?
Man, final thoughts. I got a lot of thoughts. I know it's a bit overwhelming to know all these names, especially this series of the Jehovah's. But it's important because, like Kristal said, being able to call on God for that specific thing that you are dealing with in that moment in time, it does something with your relationship with Him. It makes it more personal. It brings more flesh to it, and it really solidifies who He is to you, so that when you give testimony, of what happened after that situation, you can really add more weight to that testimony. And you can say, no, I know God is my righteousness. No, I know God is my healer. No, I know God is my banner. No, I know God is, you know what I'm saying, fill in the blank. Because this is what was going on and this is who I cried out to.
Yeah.
So,
Same. Well, guys, until next week, T, where can they find you?
you guys can find me on Facebook at Tanisha Williams, and Instagram is She Is Tanisha J.
And as always, guys, you can find me on Facebook at Kristal Charmaine and on Instagram at I Am Kristal Charmaine. Until next time, we love you. We're praying for you. We'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.
Thanks again for listening. We hope that you were blessed by today's discussion. To keep up with the latest on the She Laughs podcast, be sure to subscribe on most major streaming platforms. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If you feel led to donate, please send donations to paypal.me/She Laughs. And don't forget to send us your questions as well. We'd love to hear from you. As always, stay blessed.